Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Plot Twists and Freudian Slips podcast.
I'm Jules, a licensed therapist who spends all day analyzing people.
And I'm Mary, a diehard bookworm who loves to use books as an escape from reality.
And this is the podcast where we take fictional characters, drag them out of their fantasy worlds, and put them right here on the couch.
Because sometimes happily ever after is actually just codependency in a trench coat.
So, Mary, before we jump into the book you have for us today, what are some of your reading goals for the new year?
I do want to start branching out genre-wise. I think that may have been one of my problems with my reading slump this past year is just reading a lot of romance, so maybe switching up the genres a bit.
Ooh, what are you leaning towards?
I don't know, more like fantasy, more like just like fiction in general, but we'll see. I'm kind of a mood reader, so.
Yeah, so more fiction, more other fictional genres within the fiction world. Okay,
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
I think my goal for this year, let's see, I want to continue reading at least one book a month for pleasure. I have to read a lot of books for school and stuff, so making sure I still read one book a month for pleasure would be nice. And I'd like to expand my genres too. I think I'd like to do more nonfiction.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any personal kind of goals for this year?
That's a great question. I like to set like mini resolutions each month instead of just one big thing for the year. So January will include having a day, this sounds pathetic, but one day for 24 hours where I'm not on any social media, which is doable. I would like to, read a book for pleasure. And then I'm working on kind of resetting my morning routine. So no phone right when I wake up. And I'm doing dry January as usual. I've been doing that the last couple of years. So
Cool.
Yeah. What about you? Any resolutions?
I definitely want to travel a lot this year.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, I want to move out of my parents' house.
Yes.
So, saving up money, but also traveling at the same time.
And saving money.
So,
oxymoron.
Yeah,
you can do it, though.
You'll see. Yeah. I think my goal is by the summertime because I'm not trying to move in winter.
Yeah.
Another goal, I want to make it to a fucking second date with someone. I'm sick and tired of these one and dones.
And to be clear, it's not Mary's fault because she's perfect. It's these losers that keep being losers to her.
Exactly.
So if you're not a loser, hit us up.
Yeah, slide into the DMs.
And we'll get you situated. Seriously. Let's turn this podcast into a dating podcast. Where we bring on some random person and you guys go on a first date, and I'm just sitting here and I'm making commentary.
It could be like couples therapy, but for a couple that just started talking.
For a couple that's not even sure if they're a couple yet.
Yeah, maybe you can we can psychoanalyze the guys I've been on dates with and why it hasn't worked out.
Stop. Should that be a segment?
I'm down. I'll name drop too. I don't give a shit.
Okay, stay tuned.
What are they gonna do? Unblock me?
Yeah.
Talk to me? Unghost me?
You got blocked?
Yeah, one time. It was,
Maybe you are the problem.
No, I don't think I am. Because, so we went on a first date. It went really well. We talked about going on a second date, continued talking. I put on my big girl panties and asked him out for the second date. And so
Those
since I
big girl granny panties.
I was like, okay, since I asked, I'll pay for the date. It's 2025. I'm an independent baddie.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what? Fine. So I was like, have you gone to this place? It was like a mini golf place or whatever.
Nice. Yeah. Safe second date kind of.
And they have like a bunch of bars and different courts. Like it's a perfect
sounds fun.
First few date type of place. So he's like, no, I haven't. I was like, okay, perfect. Like, I'll go ahead and book us for the time slot we're gonna go to. We agreed Sunday something at 3 or something. I don't really remember it now. This was back in February of 2025. So whatever, we keep that was on a Thursday when we agreed to time, place. I paid money. for this date.
Right.
Fast forward to Sunday. It's I hear from him once at like 10,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't hear from him.
And
it's
what
like
was the conversation like when you heard from him?
it was just him like waking up for the day.
Okay,
and
yeah,
whatever.
just like, and had you been talking like the days prior? Okay, so you were talking every day up until it's Sunday morning, day of the date, 10 a.m. or whatever. He's like, yo, I'm awake.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so I don't hear, so I had Snapchat, or we were Snapchatting. My first mistake. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
But regardless, I like sent him another Snapchat. I was like, hey, like, are we still on for this date, or like what's going on? And he like opened it immediately, which was weird because I'd been on delivered since like 10 a.m. and it was like now like 1 p.m. And I was like,
yeah.
Okay. And I just sat there, like no reply came in. So I was like, you know what, like let me just like go do something on my phone while I wait for a response. And then I'm like sitting there doing something on my phone and I realized like, oh, I never got a notification that he like
responded.
So I opened Snapchat back up. He's gone.
What?
I know, I was like,
I don't even okay, first of all, ghosting is so wrong. Don't ghost. Just be straight. Just say what's going on.
Yeah, if you're not interested, that's fine. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But
crazy.
Be a man and just say, hey, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah. And could you get your money back?
No, I made my dad go with me.
Oh, good. Okay, good. No, that's good.
Fuck you, Austin.
That's just another level of wrong, though, where it's like there's not even a reason why, because then you're just wondering. You're like, okay, if I did do something, like I would like to know. It sounds like it wasn't you, though. Someone who ghosts. Yeah. That's says a lot about him. So, yikes.
Yeah, many more stories like that to come, I'm sure.
No, only good communication in 2026.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was like, I just got ghosted again. So, like.
Okay, well, on to the next.
Yeah.
So, do you want to give a little refresh for new listeners on how this thing works?
So, if you're new here, here's how this works. I bring in a book and its characters. Jules usually hasn't heard of it or read it. Sometimes she has, though. She's read the last one. I give her the plot, the drama, red flags, the tea, if you will.
And then I will apply actual clinical theories to explain why they're acting like a chaotic mess. So we'll talk fictional symptoms, diagnoses, and treatment plans.
Basically, I ruin the romance with logic.
And I ruin the fantasy with science. It is a beautiful partnership.
Absolutely. Before we jump in, just a quick content trigger warning. Any kind of trigger warnings, content warnings will be listed in the show notes. So if you have certain triggers that you need to be mindful of, please read those. If something is too triggering for you, we totally understand, and we'll just see you in the next episode. In line with that, because we're going to be talking about the book and the characters and everything, there's going to be major spoilers. So spoiler alert, like we're talking about the whole book, all the characters. So if you haven't read it yet, pause this episode, go read it, come back. Or if you don't care about spoilers, then we can just jump right in. So Jules, are you ready to open the file?
I have my notepad ready. Who is walking into the office today?
We are discussing a very Hollywood icon, Miss Evelyn Hugo.
No way. This is probably one of my favorite books.
Really?
Yes.
Amazing.
I love this book so much. It's been a while since I read it, though.
Yeah, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Again, we talked about this a little bit, I think, in the last episode, but she can do no wrong.
Yeah. She's
book-wise, at least. She's a great author. Yes. All right, so set the scene for me.
Yes.
Who are we talking about today?
So mainly it's going to be about Evelyn Hugo and her rise through fame and her several marriages, 7 to be exact, and the reasons why she was in these marriages, why they ended, that sort of thing. And we find it out because she's doing like a tell-all biography with this not well-known like journalist,
like
writer.
Novice. Yeah. She's a newbie.
So the book starts with Monique Grant. She's 35. She is a journalist writer for a magazine type of thing called Vivant, and she gets basically recruited by Evelyn and her people to come write a story for Evelyn. Her mom is still alive. She is a retired teacher. She just retired from teaching. Her dad died when she was pretty young. I believe she was 8 years old. She has pretty low confidence when it comes to like her writing and just like herself in general. She's recently divorced. She wasn't even married a year. Other than that, the book begins with Evelyn Hugo. She's a famous Hollywood star from the 50s, 60s, all that. She is auctioning off some of her most famous dresses to raise money for breast cancer awareness. And they believe that's because Evelyn's daughter, named Connor, I believe, died at like the age 41 from breast cancer. So there's like that connection there. And they also choose Monique to write Evelyn's biography, which she's very confused about because how does that work? She's never
Right.
written anything like that. She has no connection that she knows of to Evelyn. So she goes over to Evelyn's place and they come to an agreement that Monique is going to write this biography, not by Van, who she works for, but for herself, and she's going to sell it to make money when Evelyn passes away.
Right. Okay. So I remember there's a lot of different characters, a lot of different moving parts.
Yeah.
Thinking of Evelyn being like our main focus, our main client, if you will, what can you tell us about her? And I know that's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah, so starting when she was younger, she was I don't know if herself, but her family was immigrants from Cuba, I believe. When she was pretty young, around 11 years old, her mom died from pneumonia. Her dad was really abusive. Um, she developed pretty young, so she started like developing as like a young teenager. So she started getting like more of that male attention that she wasn't used to.
Right.
And she knew she could kind of use it to her advantage, but she was afraid that her dad would be more interested in that than a dad would ever be. So she needed to find a way out. So this is how she comes to marry her first husband, Ernie. She is 15 at the time, and he is 22.
Gross.
Yeah, I believe he was an electrician. So basically, she marries him to get away from her father. And so he works near like movie studios. So what she does, instead of going to school, she goes to this like cafe where like famous people hang out.
Right.
Becomes a waitress. She meets Harry Cameron there, and he is like a movie producer type person in Hollywood. And helps get her into her first couple roles. They develop like a good friendship between the two. And eventually, she's starting to get a little bit more popular, so Harry recommends that she pretends to date these other Hollywood stars.
Right.
So she ends up divorcing Ernie so that she can be seen with these other men, and she writes him an apology letter only because she felt like she had to, not like she's actually sorry.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack just within that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a little bit of manipulation.
Mm.
Also, though, she's 15.
Yeah.
Maybe 16 at this point, and thrown into this world where she's trying to survive.
Yeah.
So, she's hanging out with some of these seedy people who are taking advantage of her when she is a literal child. Getting married at 15 to a 21-year-old is a whole thing in of itself. But then to be thrust into the limelight and whatnot, a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking some complex trauma.
Yeah, so now she is about 18, 19. She is kind of going out in front of the cameras with different stars, and one of them is Don Adler, who is her second husband. He is 7 years older than her. This is her second marriage, but this is the first time she's ever felt like she's truly loved someone and been loved by someone. She feels like she was treated like a person. He's also an actor. She feels giddy over someone for the first time. They're married for about 2 months before he starts becoming physically abusive. Basically, Don wasn't very nice when his movies weren't doing well.
Gotcha.
And so he tried to make Evelyn feel small and would slap her and things like that when she talked back. He profusely apologized, and she forgave him because she had never been apologized to after being hit by like her dad. So she's like, oh, okay. And Harry, her friend and also the movie producer, sees these bruises and offers to help, but she needs to be in the spotlight more than she wants to be saved from this marriage. During this marriage, she also meets her best friend, Celia St. James.
Right.
Who is a very important person to her, and we'll come to find out more. They get really close because they do a movie together. And the same night that there's like having a party or something, she finds out Celia is gay and Don is cheating on her. And you would think finding out your husband is cheating on you would be super emotional, but she's actually more emotional about finding that Celia is gay, and she kind of realizes that she has feelings for Cecilia. Even though Don is the one that cheated on her, he files for divorce and basically like blackballs her from Hollywood.
Yeah.
Temporarily with his power
Yeah.
that he has in the industry.
It doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so a lot of complicated things going on. She's experiencing physical abuse from her husband, getting blackballed from the industry, hearing that her best friend, Celia, is gay, and then maybe thinking, I also may be having some of those feelings. So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. Yep. So then they divorce. She's going through a tough period, obviously. People start maybe questioning Evelyn and Celia's friendship, maybe if it's more. So she has a little quickie marriage with Mick Riva, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah. Who's got his own book.
Yeah. He's got a book called Malibu Rising. It's about his
Mhm.
kids or something.
Yeah.
But she needs to find someone who has fame, but also is a man, so she can kind of deter the tabloids and stuff from like speculating. So
Right.
she gets him to Vegas and they get married.
Mhm.
And she stays with him for a night so that the tabloids will say it was,
Right.
this wild thing. She does actually sleep with him though, and she ends up getting pregnant, but she has an abortion. However, Cecilia finds out that she actually slept with him to make
Mhm.
it believable.
Right.
So this leads to kind of like their first like
Big
fallout,
fight. Yeah.
their breakup, if you will. But then she basically, I can't remember if she gets the marriage like annulled or something, but
I feel like yes, but maybe no.
I can't remember. But it was one done type of day wedding or marriage.
Yeah. That one doesn't last very long.
Yeah. Her next marriage was with Rex North. This was a marriage that they were both on the same term of it was both for their careers rather than romance. So it would
Mhm.
promote their movie. They basically lived like roommates.
Industry plants.
Yeah, they were just basically roommates. And eventually they divorced because he fell in love with someone else.
Slay.
Yeah. Then her next marriage was with her best friend that we've heard about, Harry Cameron.
Love. Also, what number are we on?
This is marriage number 5 now.
Marriage number 5. Okay.
Yeah. This is her like the movie producer. Has been her best friends for decades. He's a closeted gay man. She has known this for quite some time, and so they marry each other to protect each other's secrets. We eventually find out that Cecilia was the love of Evelyn's life, but Harry was like her platonic soulmate, if you will. They had 15 years of marriage. It was obviously a platonic devotion, though. Unfortunately, the marriage ends when Harry tragically dies in a car crash, and this will come back as a big pivotal moment in Evelyn's life, and therefore why she picked Monique to write her biography. Back from this car crash. The next marriage she had was to Max Gerard. He was a director, and he was obsessed with Evelyn Hugo's image more so than Evelyn herself. And at this point in her life, she didn't want the fame that she had. She wasn't quite happy with, so she realized she would never be her true self with him.
Right. It was not a love connection.
Yeah, and she still was in love with Celia, so the marriage ended pretty soon thereafter.
Which brings us to number 7.
Yes, number 7, the final arrangement, if you will. So she married Robert Jameson, which is Celia's brother, and they married so that they could move to Spain and Celia and Evelyn could be together.
What a sacrifice for the brother.
Yeah.
Very
just
kind.
allowed them to live out their final years together under the ruse of being sharing a home with her sister-in-law or whatever.
Right.
And then obviously he passes away, leaving Evelyn as a widow for the final time, and then Celia dies shortly thereafter.
Yeah. 7 husbands. 1 Evelyn. Yeah. Okay. Lots of thoughts.
Yeah.
So recapping everything that you've said. Evelyn sounds like didn't grow up with the best home life. Did she have siblings? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I do remember, though, that when she was younger, and I think you had kind of alluded to this, when she was 15 and working at the cafe, she would like go to clubs and stuff and hang out with some seedy people. Was she doing drugs?
No, but she was using her body as a way to get things.
Okay, yeah. And then gets married really young. Then that ends in divorce when she starts to get some notable roles. Then gets married to Don when she's young, 19, and he's physically abusive. And then has her best friend Celia throughout this whole time. Ends up divorcing Don, or he ends up divorcing her, and then finds out that Celia is gay, thinks that maybe she has some feelings for her. Then she marries Mick, then she's pregnant and has an abortion, and Celia finds out and is upset, so they kind of have this falling out moment. And then she marries Rex North, and then that ends, and then she marries the lovely Harry Cameron. And then that ends when Harry dies in a car wreck that we'll circle back to. And then she marries Max, who is obsessed with Evelyn as like this persona, but not as the person. And then that ends. And then she marries Celia's brother. So like you said, she can live out the rest of her days with Celia herself. And Celia ends up passing away at some point. Because at this point, they're at the end of their life. So, okay, that's a lot. What can you tell us about this car wreck that you are alluding to?
Yeah, so at the end of the book, it kind of all comes to light why Evelyn chose Monique to write about her biography. And it's because what really happened was Harry was driving drunk with a passenger, and it was a man he was having an affair with. And that passenger died instantly in the crash. When Evelyn arrived at the scene and found that Harry was barely alive, she didn't want his reputation to be ruined and his secret to be out that he was a gay man. So she moved the dead passenger to the driver's seat to make it look like he was the one that
Was driving.
whatever.
Yeah.
Harry does die at the hospital a short time later. She's always carried the guilt of framing this dead man. And it turns out that this man was Monique's father.
Gasp.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, for decades, Monique and her mother believed that he had died as a drunk driver due to his own recklessness. But he was actually a victim of Harry's driving and Evelyn's, like, cover-up, if you will.
Right.
So, obviously, she has carried this with her for many years, and so she felt like she owed the truth, and the only way she knew how was to repay it with her biography.
Right. So that Monique can at least make some money off of this tragedy. And in a way, yeah, Evelyn is kind of utilizing this situation to unburden herself.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that would be important for us to know before we move into diagnostics?
Yeah, I think there's like a few, like, there was a quote that's like, I'm not a good person. I'm a person who did what I had to do. So she's very unapologetic about using her body, the people she marries, the media to get what she wants. She doesn't ask for forgiveness. Loyalty to her chosen family always outweighs doing the right thing. She argues that while she was manipulative, she was also generous and fiercely protective of the people she loved. She did not view her life as a series of sins, but a series of trade-offs.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then we find out at the end of the book that she is dying of cancer as well, and she's going to end her life.
Okay. Like a medical assisted suicide situation?
I think so. It's been a while since I read the ending. I don't think it was physician assisted. I think it was
just on her own.
Yeah, because she sends like her assistant away, and then Monique leaves.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So thinking about some things, if Evelyn was walking into my office as a client and shared all of this with me, and after we met for some time, some things I would be thinking, I'd want to know how her childhood has impacted who she is today. I'm not having her mom around, abusive dad. It seems like that all kind of set the trajectory that she's on. If she had had a secure relationship with them, it sounds like she probably would have had a very different life.
Yeah, and her mom wanted to be like a Hollywood star too. Like that was her mom's goal. So I think she did it partly too to then
Interesting.
for her mom as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't think that Evelyn has a personality disorder, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because there are some like traits maybe of some narcissism, just in terms of the need for admiration, maybe a sense of entitlement, like being okay with manipulating people and seeing people as a means to an end, like using them as like chess pieces to get what she needs. However, we know that she is capable of like real selfless love. She loves Celia, she loves Harry, up to the point where she like again like manipulates the crime scene situation, but out of protection for him. So I wouldn't say that she has a personality disorder, but there are just some like little narcissistic things that are probably, again, stemming from the way she was raised. Yeah. I would say aside from that, she seems pretty resilient. Like she goes through a lot of hard situations and is able to come out on top. Again, sounds like she kind of steps on people if she needs to, which isn't great. And she maybe separates herself from like who she is at home and like her real self with Celia versus who she is in Hollywood, which makes sense. It's like a way to, a sense of self-preservation. And I'm sure a lot of actual actors and actresses do that, of like who I am when I'm at work versus who I am when I'm at home.
Yeah.
As a way to create, some sort of safety and like a boundary. So that makes sense. Do you have any thoughts on those?
I don't think so.
Other than that, if we had to slap her with a diagnosis, I'd probably do, complex trauma with her mom dying, abuse from dad, abuse from other husbands, living as a gay woman in, when was this, the 60s?
Yeah, it was late 50s to 60s and 80s.
Yeah, so in that time period, and that's already hard as it is, but
Yeah.
then especially in that time period where it's not okay
Yeah.
to
Less
be
accepted.
out. Yeah, less accepted. That takes a toll. So yeah, I'd say that there's definitely some complex trauma and then adjustment disorder. She's adjusting to these different marriages, these 7 different marriages, adjusting to just these different life events that are going on. So yeah, those are some of the things that I would probably say can be applied to her if she were a client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that she would ever seek out therapy?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. She's done it. She's done all this on her own. She doesn't need anyone's help, especially not a therapist, a wacky therapist. Absolutely not. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, if anyone has read the book or hasn't read the book and, is intrigued, what are some other books that you might recommend?
So if they liked the kind of historical fiction of this book, I would then recommend The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Yeah, I believe
I've heard good things.
Yeah. World War II, or one of the World Wars.
We're really smart.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it follows like 2 sisters and a little bit of romance-ish.
Nice.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you rate this book?
I think I rated this book. Let's see. This is also a 5-star read for me.
It was for me too.
Yeah. But I feel like we should read the 1-star reviews.
Yes.
Since we both loved this book.
I'm ready.
Right.
I'm defensive, but I'm ready.
Okay, number 1. Did you know that Evelyn Hugo has breasts? Tits. Of the boob variety. We ought to focus on that, says Taylor Jenkins Reid, and then we do.
Did she? I don't remember. That does not stand out to me.
I mean, like, when they're, like, talking about, like, her sexuality as, like, a female and, like, being, like, a Hollywood star, like, they talk about, like, how she's got, like, really big tits and, like, big lips and, like, but I don't think they talk about
everything.
That. Yeah, I don't think they talk about that much, but whatever.
Really stuck with that person.
Yeah. My life is ruined. Thank you.
But a 1 star?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. That's sad.
Yeah. Intolerable in every way. 4 exclamation points.
Oh, okay. I want to know why.
Yeah. Here's a long one.
Okay, let's hear it.
Sometimes it can be absolutely wonderful to read a book as terrible as this one because it truly makes you appreciate the good books in your life. This was a hot mess from the beginning, and it is absolutely beyond me how it ever got a rating as high as it has on here on Goodreads. Some of the reasons why I hated it. Plain writing. All tell, no show. Bad writing. Even worse in its execution. Ridiculous characters making ridiculous choices. Also, flat characters with no development. The journalism subplot. The needless listing of stupid husbands.
That's kind of the whole book, but okay.
Dumbest plot twist I have ever encountered. Since apparently written for stupid people, the author believes it's an excellent idea to give away the hook of the book way, way, way too early. And after that point, there is really no need to finish the book. I made it through I made it through 2 times speed and was bored for all 7 hours. So the joke is on me, I suppose. A great read for those in need of knowing what not to do when writing a book.
Why does this make me mad? I will say, if they have such strong feelings about a book, then I think it's a good book. Then I think... actually, no, I take that back, because sometimes I am the person who gives the 1 star, and I'm really heated about it because it's so bad.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't agree with what I just said, but
Yeah.
dang.
So,
Well, if that book left you feeling unsettled or upset, I have a little exercise for you to try this week. We're going to talk for a smidge about radical acceptance. Mary, what do you know about radical acceptance?
nothing.
Nothing. Radical acceptance is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's when we are accepting the reality of the situation around us for what it is. This can be really helpful in kind of removing our biases around situations, or like when we get like stuck like on a loop of thinking something's like unfair or something like that. It kind of helps us come out of the loop a little bit. So an exercise that someone could try this week would be to get a page, a piece of paper, put a line down the middle, and on one side, on the left side, you would write like an objective fact. So for example, it could be like this job promotion was given to someone else. Then on the right column, you would write like the story. So this is where you can kind of input your feelings about things. So you could write like, that's unfair, I worked harder, work doesn't appreciate me, I deserve it, blah, 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 blah. Then underneath that, though, you'll write a radical acceptance statement. So that would be something like kind of combining the two. So the promotion went to someone else. I feel hurt and frustrated. I can feel these emotions and still decide what my next career move is. So it's just kind of adding some logic and reason into your life when maybe we're feeling a little overly emotional. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that would be an exercise to try if you feel like maybe you need some radical acceptance, which is not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. So something to be practiced. So in this field, we always like to get a second opinion. So let us know, did we get the diagnoses right, or are we just totally making everything up as we go?
Slide into our DMs. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, the whole 9 yards, and let us know your thoughts.
And if you are listening on Spotify, please consider leaving us a 5-star review, as it acts as a little dopamine hit for us.
Until next time, keep turning the pages.
And remember, reality is stressful. Read responsibly. And as we end, a quick reminder, I am a licensed therapist, but this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The discussions here are theoretical and applied to fictional characters. This is not medical advice. I am not your therapist, and listening to this podcast does not establish a client-therapist relationship. If you are experiencing a mental health emergency, please contact 988 or go to your nearest emergency room.
And before we sign off, I have a riddle for next week's book. I am a journey through the year of firsts. She knew her breath would leave her soon, so she wrote 12 monthly tasks and letters. From her hand to his soul, I am the story of making a broken man whole.
Ooh, suspense.
Da-da-da.
Stay tuned. We will
Bye.
see you next week. Bye.